Hejsa. It is time to take the paper out of this English paper pieced hexagon patchwork. I really like how it turned out. I did have to add some extra hexagons up here so they don't quite fill in so nicely as the other ones do, but it's fine because I realized that where I was otherwise going to have to sew through this hexagon, I would be sewing right through this little Hello Kitty, and I didn't want to do that, so I had to make a few extra hexagons to add. And someone in a previous video asked if I would show how to take out the papers, and yep, I'm happy to do that. This is just the way that I do it. Probably not too different from how other people do it, but there may be variations. So first I have prepared this by giving it a good press, just to set the seams where I've sewn them together, and also because you're folding the hexagons as you're working with it, it does tend to get a little bit sort of crinkled, and it's just easier to do this when it had a little bit of a press. And because this is Liberty and it sometimes has a tendency to maybe not stay quite put like I want to, I also use this spray, flatter spray from Soap Wash, and it just helps things stay nice and flat. You don't have to use this sort of thing. I just have it, and yeah, I wouldn't use that on a large project because it would take up quite a lot of that spray. But for something small like this, I like to use it. So because the hexagons or the fabric is sewn to the paper templates, I don't know if you can see that, and not just on the back, because there's a different method of sewing the templates or the fabric to the templates where you only sew through the corners on the back, and that's the method I used to use, but I actually prefer this one now, where you just go through the paper. And I don't know if I'll be able to reuse these templates. I should be, but it depends if I've sewn into them as I stitch the hexagons together. But we'll see. So I guess you can either start at the sides or in the middle. I think I'll start in the middle. So just use my trusty seam ripper and go through all the seams, or all the basting stitches I should say. You don't want to go through your seams, then you'll rip everything apart. And it's good to have a seam ripper that is decent, because if the seam ripper is not sharp enough, then as you're pulling at the threads, it can sort of distort the hexagons. Right, so I seem to be working in a sort of column by column fashion, so that's fine. I think maybe for the pink one. I shouldn't have used the pink thread, but never mind. I hope I can see it anyway. And you can either rip the thread or just, depending on how you're getting on, sometimes it just sort of pulls out from the back. Either method is good as long as it means that the basting thread is not properly attached anymore. As you probably noticed, I'm not pulling the threads out from the front. I'm going to pull them out from the back. And I'll also easier be able to see if I missed any. As you're going along, take care not to catch the seam or digging into the fabric. It may happen sometimes. Now, if I was working on a larger project like a quilt, then I would do this at the end of putting all the hexagons together, and then I would do it a little section at a time. So rip out the basting stitches on the front, go to the back and pull them out from the back, and remove the papers as well. Just because it's a bit of a process to, if you wanted to do everything in one go. Right, again, I'm going to start sort of in the middle, and you just have to sort of dig under, and hopefully the papers just come out. And I don't think I'll be able to reuse these ones, mainly because the paper is quite thin. I suppose some of them I might be able to reuse. Also depends on how easily they come out. So I'll have a little look at my pile to see if I'll be able to use it. You could use a crochet hook to help with this. Oh, that one's so well and truly sewn in there. And if there are little bits of paper left, it's fine. As long as you haven't used any sort of heavy cardboard. It's so busy that I keep having to check if I've got all the papers out where I've ripped them out. Just to make sure. I think you can see how these corners here that are not attached to anything, they of course are looser than the other ones. So you may want to, if you are working on this as a quilt, just leave these in until the end, just so you know that they're not going to start to sort of unfold. And again, that's another reason why it's a good idea to press it, because that helps for the hexagons to keep their shapes. Right, so now I need to pull out all the basting threads, which is a lot easier to do now that the paper is gone. Sometimes they get stuck where you're sewing them together. Just cut them off or cut off whatever you can. So if this was a hexagon quilt situation where I was removing all these, I think I would definitely do it while watching something, because it is kind of boring to do this. But just put on a good film and it should be done in no time. Missed a bit, I think. Yeah, it's always a good idea to use a contrasting thread for the basting. One that you will be able to see as you're pulling it out. But if there are a few threads on the back and you finish the project, it's fine. Unless you are able to see it from the front, in which case of course you want to make sure that you get rid of all of it. So I still haven't 100% decided on how I'm going to use this. I do know that I want to make a little bag, just big enough for the essentials, like a purse and mobile phone and a lip balm or something like that. So I guess I'll show you that later once I have actually made it. Right, I think that looks alright. Just check it on the front. Yeah, I think I've got everything, sort of. So at this point, I would probably press it again, at least the edges, just to make sure that they stay put until everything is assembled. So yeah, that's how I take out the papers once I'm done with my assembly of a English paper piecing patchwork. I think with these ones I won't be able to reuse them. So I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions, just say hello in the comments. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day and happy stitching.